Lisa with Mama Wears Many Hats. Today, we are talking birth story numero dos. Hey mamas, if this is your first time stopping by my channel, hi, I'm Lisa. I'm a mom of 3. I would like to welcome you. This is like my little corner of the internet, and you are welcome. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you are, I don't care what season of motherhood you're in, you are welcome. That's what this is all about. Supporting and encouraging you in birthing beauty into every arena of your life. I don't care what you label yourself, I just want to be here for you. And I want to share with you, and I'm really glad you're here. So, again, if it's your first time, you're going to want to make sure you take a second, okay? You listening? Hit the like button, especially if it's something that resonates with you. If it doesn't, hit the dislike button so I know not to keep making these videos, okay? Then if you're still with me, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you really like what you see, or you think, hey, this girl is crazy and I feel a lot better about myself, hit that notification button, because then you'll know for sure when we have new stuff out, because YouTube will let you know. I am really glad that you guys are here. Today, we are talking birth story numero dos. I'm gonna be sharing the story about my birth of my second child, Everly, my one daughter, the apple of my eye, the gray of my hair. Anyone else can attest to this? Your second born is crazy. Crazy. I had to stop saying that in front of her because she started saying it herself. And I'm like, the last thing I want to do is empower her to think she's crazy. She's crazy. So anyway, I'm going to be sharing that story with you today. I'm really excited because this is actually what drove me to transition to working at home. I did a video about that, about my work at home journey, and how I made that decision and that kind of stuff. So if you want to check that out, make sure to check the card above so you can hear our story. And I just won't cover that, okay? All right. I want us to travel back in time to 2017. We'd gotten pregnant with Caden in January of 2016. In probably end of January 2017, so Caden was just a little over a year old, I took a pregnancy test, found out we were expecting again, and shortly thereafter we had a miscarriage. I hadn't even had time to get to the doctor yet, but it basically was either what's considered a chemical pregnancy, which is where your body says, oh, this isn't a viable pregnancy, and you get rid of that, whatever the case is. I still consider it a loss because we had time to have the revelation of we're gonna have another baby, and then that didn't pan out. About a month later, we popped up with another positive test. Now, anyone who has had any kind of miscarriage, whether it's an early miscarriage, a late miscarriage, you know what that does to you psychologically. You get super nervous. You get super paranoid. I called my doctor right away. Normally I would have waited, which is why we hadn't been to the doctor yet with the other one, because second pregnancy, you're like, we'll go. There's no point in going super early because, So with this one though, I was so nervous because we'd lost the other one so early that I was like, okay, let's get to the doctor. They couldn't get me in for about 2 weeks. So we go in, we're pregnant. Yay, everything looks great. I share with my doctor about the miscarriage, and he's totally supportive. It's awesome. Fast forward, this pregnancy with Evie, very, very similar to my pregnancy with Caden. In fact, I jokingly say that she's his mini-me in every aspect, because I had the morning sickness, I had the nausea, which I know I didn't really talk about that in my birth story with Caden. I'm gonna do a separate video. If you want me to do a separate video about pregnancy symptoms and what that looked like and the differences from kid to kid, drop that in the comments and I'll make sure to make a video about that if that's something you guys would be interested in. Evie's pregnancy proceeds just like Caden's. Evie's due date was December 29th. And anyone who's ever had a baby due near a major holiday, you know that you're going, please not Christmas, please not Christmas, please not Christmas. Your gut, you know that baby's coming on Christmas. That baby is coming. Caden was born 2 weeks early, and my OB had said there was a really good chance that Everly would be early as well. So we had all of our bags ready just to be safe. Everything kind of, I guess, got started on December 23rd. We're at my in-laws celebrating Christmas because my brother and sister-in-law were going to be going out of town. I guess you could say I had to go to the bathroom, and I went, but it was didn't feel like a normal going to the bathroom. I know I'm this totally overshare, so I'm so sorry. It felt like this weird trickle, but it just felt a little different than if you were peeing. And I remember thinking, could that have been like my water? No, that was just like a little trickle, and I sat there for a little bit, a pad on, and every once in a while there would be a little bit of liquid, but not anything, so I just thought, second baby bladder, right? Can't hold it all in there anymore. We go about our day, we finish up at my in-laws, we go home. The next day is Christmas Eve. We're staying and doing that at home. We've got everything kind of ready for Caden. We get him in bed. We're all stoked and ready to do the whole like next morning thing for Christmas. And we get him all tucked in. We go to bed. We decide we're gonna watch Meet Me in St. Louis. My husband doesn't understand why it's a Christmas movie. I don't understand why Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Some things we'll just never know. So we're watching Meet Me in St. Louis. If you saw my first birth story video, and if you didn't, click up there, I'll link that there as well. You'll remember, I went to sleep having no symptoms and woke up pretty much in active labor. So we're laying there, we're watching Meet Me in St. Louis. Nothing's happening. The credits start. I'm laying there, reaching over, turn stuff off, and I feel a twinge. Oh, I know that feeling. So I look at Cam and I say, Cam, go to sleep. I think we're having a baby tonight. I lay down, try and sleep, can't sleep. I get up, start walking around, start doing my thing. We feel the contractions building. They're pretty quickly getting to having to focus through them, all that kind of stuff. I talked with my OB and said, okay, so I understand with babies, second babies, a lot of times they come faster. So when should I plan to get to the hospital? Because last time, if you remember, I literally from first contraction to birth, it was 12 hours. It's like pretty much as soon as you know you're in labor, he goes, when you're a second time mom, you've been there. You know what it feels like. So he goes, when you know, just come to the hospital and we'll get you ready, because we don't really mess around with second time moms, because a lot of times babies do come faster. We get up, get everything all arranged. We call my mother-in-law and father-in-law because they're going to be coming to get Caden, because FYI, having a baby with a toddler already, you're gonna have to make arrangements for your existing child to be taken care of while you're in the hospital for a couple days. So we had his little go bag ready, had our hospital bags ready. We called my parents and they came over. My dad was staying with Caden because he was asleep, obviously, it's like 1 a.m. He was gonna be staying with Caden until my in-laws got in, and then he'd meet us at the hospital. We jump in the car, we head off to the hospital. We're driving. This time it's very like chill, very calm. Even though the contractions are bad, there's something about like having been through it before and seeing how possible and I don't want to say easy, because birth isn't easy. Birth is definitely not easy. It's a lot of hard work. People compare it to like running a marathon. It is definitely that. But having been through it before and knowing how doable it is, I wasn't afraid. There wasn't any fear going. I was like, yes, this is gonna be great, you know? So we get to the hospital, walk in there. I had already verified that they had received my information, because last time they hadn't. Already had verified they are for sure in my network, because if you watched the last video, you remember what happened with that. If you didn't see it, check it out. We get there, we get checked in, we go in. I'm like making small talk with the nurses. They check me out and it's like, oh yeah, you're at about 5 or 6 centimeters, so we're gonna go ahead and head in. And I wanna say we got to triage at about 2:30 or 3 a.m. So we get up there, they check us in, and of course I let them know, hey, this is my second child, and I did deliver previously an unmedicated, non-intervention birth. So I would really appreciate if there is a nurse on staff who is experienced with unmedicated births. I would really appreciate that. And FYI, that's a pro tip. If you know that's what you're going for, don't be afraid to communicate that up front, because if they know that's what you want, if there is someone who is experienced and they're available, a lot of times they'll assign them to you. They're willing to work with that because they want you to have a successful and a peaceful birth, okay? So, pro tip, ask. So we get up there and I look at Cameron and my mom and I'm like, go ahead and get some sleep. We probably got a couple hours, you know? I laid down and we all went to sleep. I'm in active labor. I'm having close contractions, and somehow I was able to sleep through a couple hours of it, that was different from Caden's. But it was nice because I hadn't had any sleep before this point. I'd been up since like 4 a.m. that morning. So I've been up for about 24 hours already at this point. I get a couple hours sleep. I wake up and the contractions are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Really cool though, because I can remember sitting in my hospital bed, a contraction hitting me and starting to get very internal. I didn't mention this in the first video. When I labor, I get really quiet. I get very like turned in. Cameron, one of the things he had to do with us with Caden's birth, and he had to do it again with Everly, is to tell me to look at him. So look him in the eye so that I wouldn't just contract in on the contraction. He would look at me and say, I love you. Say, I love you. And I'd look at him and go, I love you. And it would help my body to relax. And it was a really interesting technique. You know, it was really affirming. He would say he loved me. I would say I loved him back. He'd encourage me to keep my eyes open. And it was really, really helpful. So this time, it was really crazy though, because they're resting and I would start having these contractions and I would close my eyes and it's like I could feel just like verses, like Bible verses, just like washing through me about peace and about rest and about comfort, stuff that I hadn't even prepared. It just was deep inside me from years of reading. And if you're not faith-based, or if you're not a Christian or consider yourself a believer in Jesus Christ, that's totally cool. Just know that what you've planted inside you when you're under the gun, when you're experiencing that kind of pressure, is what's gonna come out. So I really encourage you, if you're not a faith-based person, still fill yourself with encouraging things and encouraging words of truth, that your body was meant to do this. I know birth affirmations can kind of sound hokey. I really want to encourage you to still focus on that, because that's what's going to come back when you're in the middle of things. And for those of you who are believers or consider yourselves Christians, you may have experienced this too. It was like every verse that I'd ever meditated on in a hard time just started rolling over me. And this peace would just come, and it was like I was hearing it whispered in my ear. And there was so much peace in Everly's birthing suite. It was crazy. Our nurse, it was really cool actually. I've got to share this a little bit. So our nurse actually ended up being, our night nurse was a midwife in training, and so that was great. She just let me do my thing. Our morning nurse, because obviously shift change happened, and so when new nurse came on, was actually someone who knew my husband. Their kids had gone to school together, and so she knew my husband, knew his family, and she was a certified Lamaze instructor, which Lamaze is another method you can use if you're going for an unmedicated birth. And so there were certain things that she was able to show us that we didn't get out of our Bradley class, and it was so amazing and so helpful. So if Bradley's not for you, I highly recommend Lamaze. It was great. It was super informative and really gave us another arsenal in the birth tool belt. It's been progressing pretty well around like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I was at an 8 and I'm thinking, oh man, okay, this is where it goes fast. And then I like stalled out at an 8 for like almost 2 hours. Oh, in case you didn't catch on to it, we're now on Christmas Day, okay? This is Christmas morning. I totally forgot to say that. Obviously, you probably figured that out since it was Christmas Eve when I went into labor, but we're in Christmas morning. The ward is totally quiet. There's like no one there. I think there was one other baby born in the hospital on that day. My OB isn't there because he's with his family. Doctor on call comes in and checks in, and I'm sure she was a very nice lady. I had never met her. Before the doctor even came in though, she had told the nurse that they were probably gonna wanna break my water. And I'm sitting here going, why are you gonna wanna break my water? Like, you haven't even been here, you haven't even seen me, why are you talking interventions already? So I used what I learned with my first, which was, what would happen if we don't do that just yet and let me labor a little bit longer? So they did. And I got to the 8, but then again I stalled. But there was something about her energy that for me was really weird. It's like she came in and, like I'd mentioned, the room had been really peaceful, really calm. She came in, she checked me, I was still at an 8, and she's like, look, your cervix is starting to thicken back up again. I guess it can do, I didn't even know that. You can dilate and then it can start to get smaller again if friction or raw, or I don't even know, like basically the pressure, the contracting causes it to start thickening back up. She's like, we need to break your water because we need this to progress. And if you don't do that now, you stand a good chance for your cervix starting to thicken back up, which could then cause complications. So at that point, I'm having to weigh the risk and the rewards. And obviously I want to be able to have a vaginal birth. I want to be able to do that. So I'm like, okay, let's break my water. She breaks my water, and oh my gosh, within minutes, the contractions went from painful, 8 centimeters dilated contractions to super painful, super strong, one upon the other, just going. And I remember just like, I was losing it. Like, even though I'd already had an unmedicated birth and I'd had a really peaceful birth up and, laboring until this point, it was just like everything hit so hard and I was struggling to stay, present and in control, and not in control like controlling, but like in control like not getting into fear. I'm in transition, they come in, they start breaking down the table or breaking down the bed, getting ready to deliver, and it just felt so chaotic. When Caden was born, it felt very peaceful, it felt very chill, it felt, but it just felt like you could feel the chaos in the room. It was the weirdest thing ever. My mom was even like looking at me, like, this is weird. Cameron's like holding my hand. They break down the bed, put up the stirrups, and like one of the stirrups is broken. So I've got one foot in one stirrup. I've got a nurse holding the other leg and like pushing it towards me. So my legs and my hips are being kind of like pushed like in different ways. It was really kind of actually a traumatic experience at this point. And so they're like, you gotta push. And so I don't know if there was something going on that they weren't telling me was going on. No one mentioned anything per se. I remember at one point the doctor's like, you have to push. If you want her to come out, you have to push. Like, or we're gonna have to do something. And there's gonna be an intervention. I was pushing, but that, I guess, lit a fire under me and I pushed right. But again, it's hard to push if you've ever given birth, like it's gotta be kind of this even effort. And so when you've got like one leg feeling like it's by your ear and the other leg over here, it was just weird. We continue on. Here comes Everly. And when I was giving birth to her, I actually screamed. I didn't scream at all with Caden. And I don't, like, this whole part is very blurry to me. I just remember afterwards, my mom holding and hugging Cameron, because Cameron was, like, we all just very much felt the intensity of it. Cameron cried, like, and we've been married for almost 8 years. Sorry, almost 7 years. In just a few weeks, 7 years. And we've been together for almost 8. And no joke, like, I've maybe at this point only seen him cry like 2 or 3 times. Just like cried just from relief because it was over and because it had been so chaotic. They, give Everly to me. We have our skin to skin. She's completely 100% fine. She cried more than Caden, which, if you know Evie, she is a loud one for sure. We had our baby and it was awesome once it was over. I tore again. They were sewing me up. It hurt a lot more the second time, but again, I think that's because there was something about the energy. There was something about what was going on. Cameron said there was a lot more blood the second time. So again, I don't know if I was losing blood or what was happening, but it just, there was a lot of stuff going on. I'm holding Ev. I've got her. It's great. We, have our time. We go into recovery. We get into our room. Family comes by and visits. And first night, we sent her to the nursery. Pause right here to just kind of encourage you guys, especially if you are more naturally minded. It is awesome to be able to keep your children in with you. In fact, you'll learn as you go into the hospital each time to have a new baby. Things change from baby to baby. With Milo, which I'll talk about in my next video, they actually default to having babies in room now because so many people were wanting to do it and because they're finding it so much better for babies to be with their parents, which is great. That being said, I want to free you mamas. It is okay to send your baby to the nursery for a few hours to get some sleep, okay? It is okay, especially in the evenings, especially at night, because when you leave the hospital, you're gonna come home and you're not gonna have that support. It does not make you a bad mom. They are not gonna shove a pacifier in your kid's mouth. They're not gonna give them formula if you want them to be breastfed. They're not gonna do that stuff, okay? They want to support you. Hospital staff wants to support you. And if you don't feel like they do, find a new hospital if you can. Find a new provider because your team should want to support you. That being said, do not feel guilt. Do not feel like you're a bad mom if you decide to send your kid to the nursery. Because guess what? When your baby wakes up and is hungry, they're gonna bring it to you and you're gonna nurse it and you're gonna love it, and you're gonna hold it and have skin to skin, and then they're gonna take it back if they need to, or they'll leave it with you. It's really up to you. Don't be afraid to say, hey, could you take him or her for a little bit? I need to rest. Dad needs to rest too. You guys have just been through a really big thing, and it is okay to need rest and to receive that rest, okay? Especially if you don't have family support system who's gonna be with you in the first couple weeks. Like, really, please take advantage, okay? This is for your own sake. I say this because, like, literally I forgot to include it in my birth story with Caden. Second night, I had a breakdown. Like, Cameron had to call my mom and say, tell her to send Caden to the nursery because she hasn't slept and she needs to sleep. And I was like crying, and all the hormones and just so much stuff's going on. That's my little spiel. It's okay to send your kids to the nursery. They will be safe. They're not going to be switched. It's okay. Receive that. Peace. Receive it. Okay. We sent out to the nursery, got rest, got her back, nursed. She nursed like a champ. All my kids nursed like a champ. I mean, we had an adjustment period, but that for us has not been a struggle. With Evie, we had colic, we had some other stuff that were definitely a struggle, but nursing wasn't one of them. I recognize that is a blessing, not like to be taken lightly. That's our birth story. She was born at 11:45, Christmas Day, 2017, our little Christmas baby. Actually, I'll do a video later if you want. In fact, let me know if this is something you'd like to see. I'm going to talk about how we make her birthday special because it is on Christmas Day, and that can be kind of a fun, weird thing to navigate. Not to mention, Caden's birthday is January 7th. What do you do when your kid's birthday is 2 weeks within Christmas or on Christmas, and let them still have a birthday, let them still feel the specialness of the holiday, all that kind of stuff. So if that's something you'd be interested in, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. Again, if you didn't check it out, we have Caden's birth story up. I would love for you to check that out over there. If you haven't already, I know I mentioned it before, I'm gonna mention it again. Hit the like button if this is something that resonated with you. If you thought it was horrible, hit the dislike button. It's okay, I won't be offended, I promise. And if you are receiving encouragement from this, make sure to subscribe. If you aren't someone who's on YouTube, you may not know there's an algorithm that helps pull stuff up. So if this content is helpful for you, if this content is encouraging for you, and you think other moms would be encouraged for it, make sure to use that as an opportunity for engagement, because that basically tells YouTube that they should tell people about this channel. Get the word out. Get help and encouragement to mamas. I'd appreciate that very, very much. I'm super excited. I'm really hoping by the time this goes live that we will have passed 50 subscribers. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. Pretty sure. And in case anyone's wondering, my goal for the month is 100 subscribers. I would love to hit 100 subscribers by the end of April. So help sister out. Subscribe, like, all that jazz, okay? Thanks, mamas. I just want to tell you, you guys can do it. You're champs. You got this. If you are pregnant now, you can do it. Maybe I'll just do a video, a birth exhortation for mamas who are pregnant during this pandemic. If you'd like that, I think it'd be helpful. Again, let me know. All right, mamas, I will see you next week when we talk about Milo's story. Make sure you check out Caden's story. Make sure you get notified so you know when Milo's comes out, all right? See you later, ladies.